digital and science. There are people with a view of what it is and what can be. Like race titan Iveba, who is deaf and a little mute. Everyone might feel compassion and some pity, but to express the truth she doesn't mind. She is truthfully innocent and oblivious of the truth due to her condition. She lived her life with no care, no concern, no happiness, no loneliness, no pity, no harm. Or so everybody think. All her feelings are trapped inside her. All she can do is smile without any laughter. A dreaded day has finally came. Her father is very sick, a mother who is unfortunately diseased, a brother and a sister with their own lives away from her. Different peoples come and go expressing their help and concern, but yet again and always she just replied with a smile and a few body languages. One night while in her dreams at complete blank, a little fairy appeared. The fairy said, she just looked at the fairy with a clenched eyes and an open mouth, mumbling the word hand. The fairy extended its left arm to her left ear and removed her hearing aid, and it magically disappeared. She mildly heard a voice saying that's better. She rushed to clean her other ear with her right pinky finger. She asked with a genuine question what. The fairy said there is still a way to save her bestowed father's health. She could just reply with great excitement and yell. Then she covered her mouth and said, and I can talk. She surprisingly gave the fairy a bear hug while screaming. The fairy strongly removed her hands while stating, okay, you're in the dream world now. She replied, what do you mean? This is not real. The fairy replied, everything here is culmination of what society's imagination in which Nethier, or Ethier. She could just reply with a questioning face and replied, cool. The fairy suddenly realized about her condition and said, everything is up to you. She replied with just a slight head nod and the small phrase of air. Then she asked, so, why am I here? The fairy quickly replied, I don't know either. Usually the dreamers find the answers themselves. I think it because you're quote unquote, while doing the air quotation marks with both his fingers, special, which I don't really understand. But anyway, I think I'm here to guide you, help your dad. She gave it little thought and just said, okay, that might be true. But consider this, why did they have to wait this long to consider to help me? Were they busy doing or something else? Then quickly placed both her hands over her mouth and tried to talk over the little space that was left open, saying, what was that? I spoke a complete thought that I was thinking. The fairy was surprised and removed Grace's hands from her mouth while stating, like I said, everything is up to you. Your speculation made perfect sense. Maybe anyway, your father is not that bad. There is still a way to save him. Just talk to the golem grandpapa and ask it for a healing potion to help your father. She said, that's easy. Let's go. The fairy replied, I can't go because of my responsibilities in this realm. She said, okay, thanks for everything. The fairy flapped his arms. I bird, whoa there, placed its hands and relax. I know you're excited, but allow me explain what will happen if you just walk in there. Oh, first of all, you cannot enter Golem Kingdom. There is no doors. You will need a ride from the peaceful and majestic creatures of the flying horses, which can be located in the tribe, which are filled with carnivorous weary walls. But it's alright as long as no one disturb them. They won't disturb anyone else, I suggest. She abruptly talked, if I can do anything, then why don't I just wish the potion right here, right now? The fairy greeningly smiled and said, oh, such a cute thought. But this dreamland, it is not just you, me, this is a land for everybody and everything, so that won't work. Anyway, first you have to voyage to the sea with the pirates. Don't worry, the witches are harmless. They just like to play tricks. She interrupted. The fairy winked. I thought you said pirates. The fairy immediately complied. That is nice part of it. They are both pirates and witches. She said, what is so nice about that? The fairy said, nice for me, but not for you. But don't worry, you will be alright. It just stopped and its ear slightly flapped. Excuse me, I'm needed somewhere. She said, okay, and thank you for everything. As the fairy was going on its way, she scratched her head and yelled to fairy and said, where do I go? The fairy yelled to her, just follow the North Star, and popped away. Grace, if I was a North Star, where would I go? Looked up in the sky, while putting her thinking cap on. In her thoughts she remembered someone told her that the sun rises from west to east. Saw her shadow moving from left to right, so she knows where west is. She just remembered that the direction for north, west, south and east is exactly acronym to the word news respectively. She said if west is right there, pointed to her left, then the North Star is forward. She walked forward and saw some interesting things. Alas, it was afternoon and she encountered a tinsy-mincy problem. For her quest to happen, she must cross an ocean. Luckily, she crossed path to a guy leaving the beach. She waved hi and talked to the guy. "Hey there, do you know where I can borrow a boat to cross this ocean?" The guy replied, "Oh, you don't need to borrow a boat, just hitch a ride with the pirate witch. They will be docking in about a couple minutes." She replied, "So the pirate witches dock here. But I wonder, according to tales, witches melt to water, so how can they be pirates?" The guy quiches a little closer to where witches melt when they are sprinkled natural spring water. Nobody said anything about seawater. That way nobody would suspect they are also witches. She replied, "Oh," then shook her head for a sign of approval. The guy straightened his back and said, "If you want to ride on the ship, just say you would like to partake in their seawater tea party. It is actually pretty tasteful tea. They boil the water so it's clean, and the herbs and spices are some of the most extravagant and hard to find materials. You just have to try it." She said thanks and left, while at sea dock waiting for a pirate ship. A ship came, but it has no crew. Everything is just magically moving by itself. Finally, four very elegant dress came out from the cabin. The one woman said, "Wonderful experience, I will see everyone tomorrow again," then gave a beso then left. One of the women went near to her very aggressively and said, "Move," and carried the barrel with her magic. She said while the woman was walking to their ship, "I want to go with you, so can I go with you?" The one woman from the boat said, "You are just a stell away and we don't carry runaways." She suddenly remembered what the guy told her and said, "But I just want to try your seawater tea from what others have told me." The one woman from the boat immediately stopped and said, "So you heard about our tea party?" Mumbled to herself, "Calm and woman, be strong." Talked back to her, "Well, sister told me not to let scalawags in our prestigious occasion, so that's that. Goodbye." She replied, "Gosh." The woman from the boat replied, "Oh, my arm. Just go in the ship and we'll have our tea party." Once in the ship, she just waited until two other girls walked out with closed eyes. It started walking around and went inside the cabin. She said the in-seated to the woman from the boat, "Oh, they're sleepwalking again. Just go to the kitchen on the third door to the left and we'll join you later." On the way to the kitchen, she saw the rooms were enormous in a way that it's impossible to fit in a ship. At last, she found a worn-down kitchen with a shaky table in the middle, sway with a ship, and a teapot with 5 cups and saucers in the table. She arranged the cups with saucers in the table while the ship seemed to be moving. She sat on the far end of the table. Suddenly, 3 women suddenly barged in while she was sitting while the table is set at a different. Women from the boat said, "Who are you and what are you doing here with our teacups?" She stood up and replied, "Good evening, madam. I am Grace and I would like to join you in your famous sea salt tea party, and I already fixed the table if that's not too much intrusion." The woman from the boat said, "Wait," then called the woman in a huddle. "What do you think? She's just new and she already touching our things." The second woman said, "I think that's rude and inconsiderate. Let's leave her to wander the sea by herself." The third woman said, "I just met her and I felt something besides. She called me madam." The second woman argued to the third woman, "No, she called me madam." The third woman said, "No, me." The first woman said, "Oh, hush, you two, she might hear us. Besides, she called me madam." Looked back to her. "Might as well, you already fixed the table. Wait here while we get the tea." "I just never meet a person who would rather have tea," or she replied, "It's all the same as long as there is the tea." The first woman said, "Just so we're clear, you were referring to me when you said madam." She replied, "I was referring to all, madam." The first woman said, "You see, girls, there is no favoritism. Now let's go." As they were leaving, the first woman looked at her and gave a big wink. All of the girls are enjoying each other's company, and the topic of why she is in the boat did not even went up. They were too busy with pleasant fun, until the first woman interrupted the whole group and said, "I have to go to the bathroom, please." "Excuse me." The second woman said, "Me too," loudly cleared her throat. The third woman get some lozenges, continued talking with Grace. The third woman loudly said, "Hello." The second woman finally got the loud meaning of the third woman and said, "Oh right, excuse me, madam." Later, and the 3 women went outside. While they were outside, she suddenly realized the reason she's in the boat. She suddenly remembered the thing she learned in the public story time. The instructor said in order to let witches follow your command, you must trick a witch and get its soul out its body, and that's the furthest that her memory could remember. She thought about this and she got how to trick the witches. All she did was flip the cups in different saucers and that's it. Now all she has to do is convince the witches that the cups were never switched. As the 3 women went in,